hello everyone and welcome along to Edie's long-running SustyTalk interview series, a rather special series for the next few days as we are bringing you these discussions live from the Sustainability Leaders Forum in London. It's currently day one and the morning sessions are just out of the way. We've heard some inspiring speeches about the need to repair, inspire, and also how cynicism is a killer. And also we've heard a little bit about artificial whale poo, which I wasn't quite expecting. And across these 2 days, we're going to be doing a variety of SustyTalk interviews where I'm hoping we capture those themes with some sustainability experts, maybe a little bit less of the marine feces in that sense. And so for this first episode, it is great to be joined by Stefanie Sahmel, who's the head of sustainability at Abel & Co, and also Jeanette Wong, who is the finance director at Abel & Co. So there's a really nice mix of professions there. So it would be great to, I suppose, start with a bit of information about yourself and your role in particular, and how you have got to know each other. How often do you get to kind of interact with each other? You know, sustainability and finance, it's historically quite siloed, but clearly not in this case.
Yeah. Sure. So I'm Steph. I'm head of sustainability at Abel & Co. I've been with the business for coming on to 17 years. We've had a dedicated sustainability function for about the last 3 years, but prior to that I worked increasingly on projects that were heavily sustainability focused. There have been a few different reporting lines over the years, but I've been reporting into the finance director, Jeanette, for just over a year now, and to me it's a brilliant fit, because ultimately I always sort of compare finance a bit to Switzerland. You know, they're neutral. They don't. If I were to report, or sustainability to report into ops or marketing, for example, they're biased. Whereas, of course, with Jeanette, it's about where the money is spent, but it's not so much about whether it's a particular advantage to operations or to marketing or IT, whatever it might be. So for me, it's a fantastic fit, and luckily we work very well together and catch up very frequently.
Brilliant. And Jeanette, it'd be great to get a little bit of background on you. Do you come from a sustainability background, or was it finance, and how did you kind of, I suppose, become enveloped into the sustainability discussions?
So very much a finance background. I very much feel like a sustainability novice, if I'm being truly honest. But I've been at Abel & Co for about 18 months now. I started to oversee sustainability about a year ago. I saw an opportunity for finance and sustainability to collaborate more, which I think has been really, really great for the business. And one of the first projects that I worked on when I started working with Steph was our B Corp recertification, which was probably the ultimate induction. But what I will say is at Abel & Co, sustainability is kind of embedded within our DNA. So it's not just finance and sustainability that collaborate. I would say that it's across the board.
Brilliant. And this morning we heard a kind of range of talks. We heard everything about the IPCC, kind of described as that kind of atlas of human suffering and the risks that brings in, and also as well about the opportunities, to inspire and engage and really motivate action on this. And I am kind of generalising here, but finance is generally relatively risk adverse. It kind of looks at stuff through risk, and I think sustainability a bit more so is about opportunity. It kind of motivate and engaging. So how at Abel & Co do you look at sustainability through the lens of this is a great opportunity, or is it kind of this is also a risk we need to address? Is it a little bit of both? I'll let you answer how you want.
I'll take that. Just to sort of, what comes to mind when you're talking is Christiana Figueres, who of course oversaw the signing of the Paris Agreement as the then Executive Secretary of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. I think in 2014 she said that the net zero future will happen, whether it's by design or by default. And so to me that really highlights the opportunities of course, so by design. So in other words, that we adopt our lifestyles to reach a place where we no longer add to the carbon stock in the atmosphere. But by default, of course, if the risk is that we create a planet that's uninhabitable, and by default will no longer have emissions. So I think there's a bit of both. I think you can't just look at the risks and you can't just look at the opportunities. I think the IPCC report that you mentioned, it highlights very clearly that the greatest risk, of course, is that we push humans' ability to adapt, that we go beyond that. and that things get worse, and we all know what that's going to look like. So in terms of opportunities, I think everything that's coming through very clearly is the opportunity is to react immediately and with great urgency. And so I think that's where sustainability, working very closely with finance, is, anything we do needs to be financed. So I feel as though I have a direct line to what's going to enable us as a business to implement the things that we need to do. So whether that's to reduce carbon or to work within the communities and help with diversity, inequality, and so forth. So.
And Jeanette, I'd like to get your views on this, because from my perspective, sustainability is an ever-changing topic. The jargon, which was spoken about a little bit at the start, carbon neutral is now net zero, CSR is now ESG, which is much more kind of financial speak. How are you finding it, just to kind of keep up with the topics around sustainability and kind of relating that through a financial lens?
It's a challenge, if I'm being honest. There is an awful lot of jargon and a lot of misinformation as a result of that. Personally, I've actually started doing a course with the Judge Business School on circular economies, just to kind of get my own head aroand that jargon. But yeah, it's definitely an ever-changing minefield. But to pick up on some of the points that Steph raised, as a finance person, we're always looking at return on investment, but our overarching strategy is to be, the most sustainable business that we can be. And so whenever we're making any investment decisions, I would say that there is always a sustainability lens on that as well.
Good. That's definitely, I think, what we need to. There was discussion, I think it was in the panel discussion about, when your back's against the wall, what is it your purpose is. So it's great to see that that's really embedded. And Jeanette, sticking with you then, how quickly have you been able to absorb some of the key message? I know it's kind of embedded in the DNA, but you as a individual and a professional, how quickly have you been able to absorb the stuff that you're learning about sustainability?
Probably not as quick as I'd like to, if I'm being honest. Steph is incredibly patient with me, but I'm definitely trying my best. Is probably how I'd place that. But I think when it comes to sustainability, it's almost impossible to be on top of it, because it is such an ever-changing field. And I think what I would advise is that you kind of make the best decisions based on the information that you have available to you at the time. And I think that's how we try and operate.
And Steph, I'd love to get some advice for the audience that is watching this in terms of engaging on sustainability internally across different aspects of the business, and in terms of helping to embed that across different areas. What kind of advice? Because it's clear that you've managed to embed this across different parts of the business as well.
No, it's a really good question. I think the importance of collaboration just can't be underestimated, and it's interesting. Jeanette and I have a lot of conversations about this, because it's not something that sort of comes naturally to me. And the way we've set the sustainability department at Abel and Co up now, which works incredibly well, is that we have effectively strategic business partners that are part of the sustainability team, but are effectively embedded into the other departments. So, for example, our sustainability project and packaging manager is pretty much our person in ops. Okay, so, and our sustainability and farming comms manager, for example, is our person in marketing, and so that allows us to really influence what happens in these departments, and be there, as a guide really to help, because everybody wants to be more sustainable, but more often than not, they don't quite know how to. So by having people from the sustainability team embedded within these other functions, we're able to act as consultants really within those departments, and bring their challenges back to the sustainability team for us to address.
And so in terms of the skill set of a sustainability professional then, as it changes, as it becomes more embedded, I'm guessing that changes. It's less about explaining the need to act, more about translating that into some tangible steps. How do you see the skill set of a sustainability professional evolving?
Yeah, gosh, good question. This image a friend of mine always says, it's when you're drinking from a fire hose. I think as a sustainability professional, you have to absorb information very quickly and find a way to disseminate it across other departments. So in terms of skill set, I think just, adaptability, collaboration, as I've already said. I think, gosh, what else? I think just, yeah, an overall understanding of how the business works. You know, we can't have our strategic business partner within the ops team be someone who doesn't have the broader picture of what we're trying to accomplish. So, yeah, does that help?
Yeah, no, definitely. And same question to you then, in terms of a financial professional, what skills are they going to have to take on? You mentioned that you're doing courses to get a better understanding of this. As sustainability and finance converge more, how does your skill set change?
Yeah, I mean, from a governance perspective, there's definitely synergies there. And just in terms of the finance piece of it, whether it's calculating your carbon emissions or your energy usage, water usage, or looking at business plans in terms of working out the ROI in terms of certain sustainability initiatives. I think for any sort of accountant now, these are things that they need to be picking up. It's interesting, when I was back in college doing my accountancy qualification, sustainability really wasn't on the agenda, but I think that's definitely changing and for the good.
Well, thank you guys so much for your time. I don't want to keep you any longer. I realise the breakout sessions are now in place and you probably want to go and absorb some of that more information. So thank you so much for being a part of this discussion.
Well, thanks for having us.
And for the audience at home, yeah, we will be back throughout the course of today. The days you'll be seeing these sporadically across the edie site, but we will run them in the order that they're recorded. So in the meantime, stay safe, stay positive and keep up the SustyTalk.